After she got attacked, she felt every blow to her body. And when she got the fatal blow to the head, she can feel. You can feel that within your body. You can feel your bones breaking. You can feel the paralysis come over you. You are unable to defend yourself. You have no connection to your arms and your legs any further. So you cannot move, you cannot walk, you are 100% totally helpless, but still you are conscious. You are still conscious for part of that time, and you can still see the people around you. You are still very aware of the violent situation around you. You can still hear the voices of the people, who are attacking you. She would be 100% paralyzed.
Hey friends, welcome back and hope you guys are doing well. If this is your first time here, I'm AJ and welcome to a dose of true crime. I cover unsolved mysteries, missing people, twisted cheating scandals, and a ton more true crime topics that I could go on forever and ever and ever. But yeah, so those are the main components that I discuss on my channel. So if any of that checks off your list, go ahead and subscribe so you know when I roll out with the next video. So guys, real quick before we get into today's video, I wanted to give a shout out to one of my followers, Groovy Mermaid on Snapchat. I had asked y'all to help me name this channel so that I could actually start uploading, and that's what was hindering me for so long. But she gave me the name Dose of True Crime because I used to go by Dose of Glam when I was doing more makeup content, and I was like, dang, why didn't I think of that? So anyway, thank you. I think her name is Ray, R-A-E. I'll put a screenshot of her name on the screen, so thank you. So today we're talking about the very alarming case of Shanquella Robinson, and if you have never heard about her before this video, I'm not really surprised. I am, but I'm not. That's all I'm going to say about that. I do have some updates which may or may not be new to some of you, just because there really hasn't been much information pushed out since maybe December of 2022. And that's kind of why I'm doing this video today, because I feel like there just has to be some kind of update, and there is, and it's probably going to piss you off, but I am here just to update you. Don't shoot the messenger, okay? So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and give y'all a brief synopsis for those who have never heard about this case, but I do have a full playlist dedicated to this case on my personal channel, which is Bougie Hustler TV. I will link that down below in the description box or comment section, so when you have time you can watch each video and you will for sure be thoroughly well versed with this case and be caught up like the rest of us. So let's get into the brief synopsis of Shanquella Robinson. So Shanquella Robinson was a 25-year-old black businesswoman. She had a hair business catering to the mini-me's of the world, specifically young princesses, and she also had a clothing brand as well. Shanquella was a college graduate, so she had brains, she had beauty, and she had a lot going for herself. Fast forward to the end of October, I believe it was the 29th of 2022, she was scheduled to fly into Cabo, Mexico to meet up with a group of people who she considered to be her friends. Now, according to what a lot of people said, is that all of them were not necessarily that close. She basically knew of them through her best friend, which was Khalil Cook. So her and Khalil met long before them, and then I believe in college is how she met the rest of them through him. So Shanquella and Khalil flew into Cabo, Mexico together, and everyone else was just kind of flying in and eventually would meet up at the villa that they had for the weekend. Now, the villa they stayed at was a very prestigious villa. It was an area where A-list celebrities would go to vacation, such as Jennifer Aniston, people like her. Yeah, so you had to have big money in order to go to the villa. Now, rumors circulated that Shanquella did in fact cover the cost of this villa. When they arrived in Mexico, I believe everyone got there the same day with the exception of Nazir Wiggins, who showed up the following day. So most of what what I'm saying is going to pertain to the Cabo 6 minus Nazir. And the Cabo 6 included Khalil Cook, which again was Shanquella's best friend, another male there named Malik Dyer, another female named Dejanay, another female named Alicia or Alyssa, and then Winter Donovan. So they were all there with Shanquella the first night. So when they arrived, Shanquella went ahead and updated her mom via a phone call. She spoke to her, let her know they were there and everything was okay, and she was actually waiting on some food to be prepared by the personal chef that they had at the villa. So that he was making them gourmet tacos. And so, it was just a short, quick phone call, nothing more, nothing crazy, just letting her mom know she made it there safely. So her mom, told her to have a good time and that she would talk to her later or the next day. But what her mom didn't know is that was going to be the last time she would talk to her daughter, because next thing you know, Shanquella Robinson ends up dead. I don't know if y'all heard that, but fireworks just went off outside as soon as I said that, which is wild. But anyway, so like I said, Shanquella ended up dead. It was just very peculiar how she ended up that way. And her best friend Khalil ended up calling her mom, telling her that Shanquella was not feeling well. She was very sick, very nauseous. She drank too much the night before and she may have alcohol poisoning. Now this was very alarming to her mother because, for one, Shanquella was not a big drinker like that. So for her to go overboard to the point of alcohol poisoning was very out of character for her. But nonetheless, she felt okay because she knew that Khalil was there, and Khalil was like an extended member of the family. Basically, they were so close that they considered Khalil like a son, or a first cousin to her or something. Like, that's how close they were. They knew him. They knew she was in good hands. They didn't have anything to worry about, at least so they thought. So then a little while later, he calls her back, and next thing you know, he's telling her she's dead. Her mom cannot believe it, and then he's telling her that a maid found her, and just a whole slew of lies coming out of his mouth. A lot of information was being fed to the media of different outcomes of how Shanquella had passed away, and nothing was really lining up. No autopsies were being performed, nothing. So it took Shanquella's family to pay for an autopsy to discover what exactly happened to her. By the time they got all this information, the Cabo 6, including Nazir at this point, had all fled Mexico and came back to the United States, and allegedly they used Shanquella's credit card, who was presumed dead, to get back because they didn't have no money. And apparently the rumor was that Shanquella had paid for the villa, and the vibes just were not that well in Mexico. She wasn't feeling it anymore, and so therefore she decided that she was going to leave early. And by her leaving early meant those funds were going to get cut short, which meant that the rest of them were going to have to figure out how to pay for their stay for the remaining time that they wanted to be there. And I guess they didn't like that, and they decided that she couldn't leave. So now at this point, it's just a bunch of he said, she said. No one really knows the truth outside of the actual medical report, and it's just been a big slew of a mess. So I wanted to park the story real quick because there's a very important detail that I somehow managed to forget, and anyone who hasn't heard of this case definitely should know now, and then you can fill in the blanks later. So when Shanquella's family went ahead and did the autopsy report, and the results came back that she suffered from atlas luxation, also known as a spinal cord sever, and not alcohol poisoning as Khalil had mentioned to Shanquella's family. Well, next thing you know, rumors are swirling as to how Shanquella sustained these injuries, and next thing you know, a video surfaces. And what this video contains literally blows the case up even wider. So there were quite a few disturbing things about this video. The first thing is that Shanquella was being attacked by the aggressor, also known as Dejanay Jackson. The second thing is that Shanquella was in the nude. She had no clothes on, and she was literally getting attacked by someone she classified as a quote-unquote friend, and in front of others that also joined this trip. Literally looked like they were sitting on the side watching a wrestling match. But Shanquella wasn't fighting back. So literally it was Dejanay attacking Shanquella. You even had some spectators make comments such as, "Shanquella, you're not going to fight back. At least do something." And it was just really appalling. The last thing I want to point out before we continue with the story is how everyone stood to the side and either watched or was recording. Not one person thought to intervene. And I just think it's ironic how all of a sudden everyone comes back to the States and no one says a peep about what happened to Shanquella in hopes that the story would just never make it to headline news. All of a sudden they all have amnesia and no one knows what happened to this girl. And to add insult to injury, Khalil, the supposed best friend of Shanquella Robinson, invited Dejanay and Winter, two of the females who were on the trip, which Dejanay was the one in the video as the aggressor who inflicted these injuries onto Shanquella, over to Shanquella's family's home. So these three are in their faces all day, putting on a front, acting concerned, telling them, oh, how we should do this for her funeral, this, that, and the third. Meanwhile, they were only there to see what all the family knew in regards to how Shanquella passed. Talk about disgusting, bottom of the barrel, dehumanizing. So in any case, after the video spread like wildfire, Nazir Wiggins, the one person who arrived after the attack happened, hopped on Instagram Live to clear his name because he felt since everything occurred prior to his presence, he was innocent. But what he doesn't realize is by having the knowledge that someone is incapacitated and not rendering aid for them, you are also just as guilty. And you fled Mexico just like the rest of them without saying a peep to anyone. So you're equally as guilty whether you laid a hand on her or not. And up until today, no one has been officially arrested. There has been someone who they're interested in extraditing back to Mexico. But again, as of today, they are still roaming the streets of America completely free. So that is the short version of what happened to Shanquella. I've skipped so much and it kills me to do that, but like I said, I have an entire playlist for you to go through and you can hear everything for yourself. Fast forward to today, which is July 3rd, okay? I have been thinking about this case in the back of my mind for some time because for those who used to see me, I used to be uploading all the time whenever something came out about this case, you know, just to keep people updated because I was genuinely interested in this case. Like I wanted to see these people go down for her murder because that's what it was. I don't care what anybody say, that's what it was. That girl came into Mexico healthy and left beat up and dead. Somebody needs to pay for that. And the message it seems like they're giving is, oh, go to Mexico and handle your business and come back to America. You'll be straight. Nothing will happen to you. That's the message that they're giving right now because why are they still free? Why has no one been arrested? Why is no one charged? Why is no one convicted? Why is no one serving time? Why are there no trials? Why is there nothing being done? A lot of, oh, we'll look into it and oh, we don't know, da, da, da. Oh, there's not enough evidence. What do you mean? And I just think it's wild that even with the footage that at minimum, Dejanay has not been brought back to Mexico yet, or at least so we know. I was supposed to do a one-on-one with a lawyer, but to be honest, at the time, it just was not feasible because there wasn't much to talk about. We literally all knew the same information. There wasn't anything new to circulate or to discuss. So I didn't really feel that it was necessary. But now that so much time has passed by, you know, I feel like new questions have circulated. Like, where does the case go from here? Is there a chance that Cabo 6 really could get away with this at this point? It's 8 months now, 8-9 months since this occurred, and no one is arrested or in jail as far as we know. Why not? What is holding everyone back? We have some people saying that extradition takes so long, and then other people saying that extradition should be at the snap of a finger. To me, it's quite confusing because let's take the Idaho 4 case, for example. You know, the 4 college students who got murdered in their home. They pulled people out the woodworks to solve that case. Retired FBI agents, for crying out loud, were willing to help figure out what happened to those poor kids. And I'm not saying that their lives don't matter, but it's like, damn, ours do too. Why didn't we get the same coverage for Shanquella like they got? So in any case, Brian Kohlberger, I think that's how you say his name, he was found in a whole nother state and he was extradited back right away. But then again, there are some slight differences. The crime did occur on U.S. soil, so therefore U.S. Marshals government are the only people involved in the case. This was a crime that occurred overseas in another country, so technically it's up to Mexican authorities to bring down the law on these 6. at minimum the person who inflicted those injuries onto Shanquella, which would be Dejanay. So like I said, I was curious to see if there were any updates, and I did find a blog from the New York Post and also one from Yahoo News dated after the New York Post one. So I am going to go ahead and read those to y'all if you have not heard about this yet. Very disappointing news, unfortunately. So U.S. federal, first of all, this blog was dated for April 2nd, 2023. So U.S. federal prosecutors will not pursue charges in the death of a North Carolina woman, aka Shanquella, who died being beaten in a hotel room while vacationing in Cabo, Mexico. Department of Justice prosecutors met with the family of Shanquella Robinson and told them that after careful deliberation, they determined that there was not enough evidence to seek charges in the case, which is wild to me because is there not a whole video circulating of Shanquella getting beaten up? What are you talking about? So in any case, they go on to say, as in every case under consideration for federal prosecution, the government must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that a federal crime was committed. Did someone not die? That's not a crime? To kill someone, that's not a crime? Okay. Based on the results of the autopsy and after a careful deliberation and review of the investigative materials by both U.S. attorneys' offices, federal prosecutors informed Ms. Robinson's family that the available evidence does not support a federal prosecution. So in other words, they don't want to deal with it, and it's up to Mexico to figure it out. And if they can't figure it out, there's nothing we can do for you. That's basically what they're telling them. I'm going to post a link if you guys want to read the rest of this blog, but it just basically kind of goes over the course of events leading up to Shanquella's death and then some things after that. There's that update. Very disappointed to say the least. This just supports what everyone is saying, is that there really are two Americas. The other update was the post from Yahoo News, and this one was in regards to Shanquella's family actually speaking with U.S. White House representatives in regards to her case, and what are they gonna do, because no one seems to want to bother to even find out what can be done to help this family. So this particular blog was posted on May 19th of this year, 2023. Now before I even go into that, it's the fact that I had no idea that either one of these had any information released to the public. Why? Because they don't care to push that information out. They're worried about other things. But it's like, this girl matters too. She's been dead now for 8 months now? Why can't she have her justice as well? And it's just crazy that I had to stumble across this months after each one of these articles was publicized. That's wild to me. But let it have been the Idaho 4, baby, we would know about it before the sun come out. Okay, so it's stating here from Yahoo News that attorneys and the family of Shanquella Robinson met with White House officials demanding that U.S. leadership extradite a suspect, more than likely Dejanay, the one landing the punches, to Mexico to be held responsible for Robinson's death. Quote, "We're going straight to the top, and we expect them to not disrespect or neglect Shanquella Robinson." And that is from the family attorney Ben Crump at a press conference shortly after the meeting that they had with the White House officials. Crump says he was encouraged following the meeting with Steve Benjamin, who's the director of the Office of Public Engagement, as well as members of the Office of the White House Counsel, who have a direct line to President Biden and Vice President Harris. He expressed optimism that the case would be prioritized. I will say the people that have traveled for this conference and for this meeting kind of have different views on how they feel things are going to play out. So that is his perspective of how he feels. He's trying to be optimistic for the family, as he should be, but there's someone else who doesn't really think that things are going to go as they want, and it's just a lot of fluff. And I'm gonna get down to that because I saw it earlier and I was like, she do have a point. So Crump goes on to say, "We are grateful that they said no, don't give up on the process. We are going to look at what can be done to make sure that there is at least due process." end quote. Now, the day that this conference happened marked the 200th day of Shanquella's death. Now, here is where I see that someone else believes that it's just a bunch of fluff coming from the White House, because basically to her, it sounds like, yeah, we're going to look into it, but that don't do nothing. Y'all been looking into it since it happened. Ain't nothing happened. We came all this way for you to tell us the same thing you could have told us over the phone or in an email, basically. But let me not put words in her mouth. Let me read exactly what she said here. Activist Tamika Mallory, co-founder of social justice organization Until Freedom, who joined the White House meeting, was more reserved in her assessment of how things played out, saying the family had an opportunity to lay out the facts and the holes in the case, but there was no immediate action taken. Quote, they did not say what they would do. They did not say it's going to happen. They did not say they were going to make the State Department or anyone else do anything. They said they were going to look into the situation, end quote. And I feel her frustration, because again, you telling me something that has been told to me how many times? Y'all are gonna look into it. Okay, what have you come up with now? It's 9 months now. What have you found? What was discovered? You telling me you got all this evidence stacked up and there's not enough still? Like, damn, what you want? Shanquella to come back from her grave to tell you her damn self? Do your job. And what really infuriates me is the fact that this family has to beg and plead with U.S. government to help them.
I feel like our government has failed us. Now we got to take extra steps and measurements as far as rallies, as far as press conferences, mailing letters that I feel like we should not have to do. It's been 5 months and something should have been done.
Because the people who are responsible live here in the United States and they're not willing to lift a finger. They're basically saying, oh, well, it happened over there. That ain't got nothing to do with us. But in any case, y'all, those are all the updates that I personally was able to find. But if y'all have more information, you're more than welcome to add it down in the comments. So anyway, you guys, that's going to complete today's video. If you guys like true crime, if you like more coverage on other cases, make sure to subscribe. If you have a request, make sure to leave it in the comments or email to me and I will check it out. On that note, y'all stay safe and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.